What's up, guys? Foobs here, and today we're reading r/malicious compliance. Now, if you want to go ahead and skip right to the story, feel free. I'm going to post a timestamp right here. But for everyone else, I know what you're probably thinking, and that's for a narrating channel, this is probably a horrible idea. And you know what? You just might be right. I hope you're wrong, but you're probably right. Though, to be honest with you, I never wanted to pigeonhole myself into one narrating style of just showing a couple pictures and going through the story. And I think that kind of shows in the fact that I've been trying different things in the form of bonuses. But now I feel like that's still kind of falling in line with everyone else, and I want to grow further. Whether or not that is me recording myself as I do readings, whether or not that's me doing different types of Reddit, or different types of YouTube in general, maybe gaming, for instance. All that matters is I don't want to just fall in line and be another faceless voice on the internet. So this is the way we're going to change it up from now on. And we're going to see how it grows in the future. Anyways, let's get right into the stories, and I'll see you in a bit. Peace out. You start at 7, you finish at 7. Not sure if this truly belongs here, but here it goes. I used to work at a car company about 2 to 3 years ago as a telephonist on the night shift doing 12-hour shifts. It was pretty good. 4 days working, 3 days off, and the pay was decent. However, most people didn't take their job seriously. They would call in sick or just not show up for work at all. And especially on nights, when there were only four of us. If one person didn't show up, you felt it. I was a star employee. I showed up early, logged in, and started working usually from 6:30. I never took a sick day, changed my holiday to fit my company's needs, and worked any overtime they needed me to work. I was so dedicated to my role that I had worked on multiple occasions 18 to 24 hours as people wouldn't show up for shifts and they needed cover. It was my first real job and I believed in the company. I used the train system to get to and from work and planned out my routes around as much as I could to avoid being late. On this particular day, they were running reduced service due to breakdowns. A lot of trains had been repaired using less than stellar parts, and the wheels kept sticking to the tracks when they hit the brakes, causing wearing on the wheels in specific spots. So a lot of trains were out of commission. On top of that, the train I was on had been stopped due to a signal issue for 12 to 15 minutes. This led me to being late. I had showed up about 10 minutes late to the start of my shift. Before I had even sat down, my manager was giving me grief. Apparently, they were mad because I had stopped other telephonists going home, as someone had to work 10 extra minutes to cover my shift, as 2 people were ill and couldn't make it in. Now, I hate being late. I was already pissed off that I was late, but my manager giving me trouble as soon as I walked through the door just irritated me even more. My reply to him was as follows. Apologies I was late. However, how many times have I ever been late? I show up 30 minutes before my shift every day. I have stayed late to cover days before the train had an issue, and it was out of my control. I was stuck underground with no signal to call or text to let you know. My manager didn't give a damn. The reply to me was, "You start at 7, you finish at 7. You're in early on your own time. Those times you have stayed behind, you have been paid and no one asked you to." Okay then, was my reply. The next day was extremely busy. My colleague had left, and only one of the morning guys had shown up for his shift to take over. As he sat down, I began to pack up. At 7 a.m. on the dot, I left. As I usually help out when this happened, everyone was surprised and had asked me where I was going. My only reply was, "I start at 7, I finish at 7. This was my final shift, and so I was off for the next few days. On my first shift back, I get pulled into the office by my manager with HR. They asked me why I left a single telephonist on their own. I looked at my manager and repeated the exact same words that were said to me. My manager informed me that I start at 7, I finish at 7. The look on HR's face was priceless. She was pissed. She already had a staff issue to deal with, and on top of that, one of her most helpful staff members had been mugged off by a manager. She told me to go back to my desk, and she needed to speak to the manager in question. 20 minutes later, the manager came back in looking absolutely defeated. He never ever said anything to me again about being late. Coupon compliance. Very small compliance and light on the malice. Nobody lost a limb or got fired. At the local charity thrift store, every time you make a donation, no matter how small, you get a coupon that takes $10 off any purchase of $25 or more. There is very rarely anything at this store that I want to purchase that even comes close to $25. But after carrying this coupon in my wallet for several months, I found a $20 item I was interested in. I presented the coupon to the cashier and asked for a $5 discount, which would bring my total to $15. However, she said I couldn't apply for the discount because my purchase was less than $25. I tried to explain that even if I found another $5 item, I would be getting it for free, as I would still only be spending $15 after the $10 discount was applied. But she wouldn't budge. Fair enough, she doesn't make the policy, so no need to argue. Behind the counter, there were several small kids' toys that were $1 each. I asked her to throw in 5 of them. She rang up $25, applied the discount, and I paid her $15. Before she could bag the toys, I told them I would like to donate them back to the store. I think it started to click for her when I requested a $10 coupon for my donation. Doesn't get much pettier than this. Back in the days of renting VHS tapes, there was a small video store that also sold Pick-a-Pop. I mention this only because of my love for Lime Ricky. They had a special 3 movies for $4.99 or $2.99 each. I only wanted to rent 2 and put them on the counter. $6 plus tax, said the gruff person behind the counter. I happily replied, shouldn't it be $4.99 plus tax? Gotta rent 3. Can't you read the sign? I quickly grabbed a third video, Bucky Hatchet Live in Vegas, and slapped it on the counter, getting a dirty look from the dude behind the counter. I paid my $5 plus tax and dropped the third video in the returns. Hey, you can't do that, grumpy guy said. Sign says 72-hour maximum. Nothing about a minimum. Can't you read that? But you still have 17 seconds left on your timer. I'm not exactly proud of this one because I can see where the customer came from. But I think those of you who have dealt with condescending customers before can appreciate it for what it was. So, I supervised a mom and pop restaurant for several years that dealt specifically with shrimp and fish. Outside of cleaning and prepping the stuff, the main deal was cooking it in several big old fryers. It's involved work, but it's not hard work. Just stick the basket of food in the fryer and set the timer for 3 minutes. And when it comes out, just bag it up and give it to the customer. Easy work, though it gets a bit complicated on, let's say, a busy day like a Friday, where we do anywhere between 1 to 1.3K during a 6-hour shift, or maybe 1.5 to 1.7K if it was really busy. See, that's a normal busy Friday. When it's Lent season, business would boom significantly, like we do 5 to 7K during the Friday shifts. So yeah, busy. When it's that busy, you can't exactly rely on timers as much. Because there's so much food going in and out of the fryers, the temperatures fluctuate, so you gotta eyeball it. I'll have food burning at 2.5 minutes, or some food taking up to 4 minutes to look right. So here's where the malicious compliance comes in. During a Lent Friday, night dinner rush, we get hundreds of people coming into a shop that's probably smaller than a middle-class living room. I'm talking like the waiting area on the other side of the counter was probably 20 feet by 7 feet. So yeah, it can get pretty cramped. I have my register person taking orders, making bags, and pushing them along the line, while my wait table people can weigh out the food so I can start cooking them. When the order is done, I'll shove it in a bag and yell either the name or the order, and someone in the crowd will come and grab it and be on their way. It's a very intimate setup. So I got a counter full of about 20 plus bags, each bag with a different order. And this one bag gets to me and it said, cook shrimp an extra minute, or something to that effect. Now, like I said, the fryers cook funny when there's that much food going in and out, so using my years of shrimp frying experience, I extrapolate in my head what the food should look like if cooked for that long under normal circumstances, and cook it until it looks like that. I pull the food up and hear ahem from behind me, and I look, and this lady apparently followed her bag down the line, waited for me to drop the food, and set her own timer. She said with a crappy gotcha attitude while looking at her own timer, "Yeah, you need to cook that for an extra 45 seconds. At this point, her food was already looking too done, but she interrupted my flow and gave me an attitude. So I blurted out, "Oh, okay," and set a timer for 45 seconds and put it on the counter. I bagged some other people's food and I hear the lady behind me again, apparently with a little less teeth to her words this time. "Oh, I think it's done now." I grabbed my timer that I had set in front of her, looked at it, and yelled with an equally condescending, crappy gotcha attitude, "Oh, but you still have 17 seconds left," and smack it down and waited until the timer went off. 17 seconds can feel like a long time in those kind of situations. Finally, the timer went off. I grabbed her food. It looked burnt. I bagged it up and gave it to her and said, "Here you go, miss. Enjoy the rest of your day." She muttered a thank you and walked off. And my coworkers and customers had a little laugh about it. Never got a complaint. Now, don't get me wrong. I get it. As a customer, I could be finicky sometimes too. But the problem was, I was honoring her request. But in a way, she didn't understand. Because there's a bunch of variables at play that only an experienced fryer cook would get. I feel bad, but at the same time, I don't appreciate anyone giving me an attitude. And I've never been a "customer's always right" kind of person anyways. Alright guys, that's gonna wrap it up for this episode. No bonus, but expect it back in full force tomorrow. Also, I got a lot of exciting stuff planned for the future, one of which we'll be reading on camera. So make sure you stick around, or subscribe if you're yet to, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.